All right, so in this week's Pro Player Podcast, we have myself, DS Rice, formerly known as Man Chocolate, um, still playing for Dream State Gaming. We have KGB 9, or Nien, however he wants to say it. And we have DSGS, and we have VGN Johnny. So, 9, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody, what position you play and everything.
My name's Chris. I play top lane for Clever Gaming Blight. I play almost exclusively marksman, and that's about it. Been
Uh,
playing since like super early in post beta, it's like the first few weeks.
yeah. GS?
Um, Name's Armando. I play for Dream State. I play solo top or dual bot depending on what's going on. That's pretty much it.
And you play Blaster.
Yeah, Blaster.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Hi, I'm Johnny, the top lane for Vengeance Esports NA. I mainly play in top lane. I like to play like playmakers. More recently, Harley top, very interesting. Um, yeah, that's about it. Just tanky people.
Harley Top.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
it can be a conversation piece.
Yeah. Alright, so this week kind of brought a couple of changes to the game, and there was some nerfs and some buffs and some severe over nerfs, mostly severe over nerfs, and I guess some quality of life changes, you could say. Um, so Batman, biggest nerf to Batman was pretty sure they removed his slow off his cape sweep, which is his E, and I jungle, so to me that pretty much, if I don't have a Lobo's chain, which was almost already a requirement on Batman, it's now I have absolutely no way of sticking to people who have escapes like Flash or Gaslight Batman, things of that nature. And yeah, what were your guys' thoughts on the Batman nerfs? 9.
From my perspective, like from an AD, um, he's a lot less scary now. Like he definitely needed like some nerfs. He was like way too strong before, I think. But they definitely hit him too hard. They hit, three of his skills, and they hit them all pretty hard. So I think they should have kept the slow on the E for sure, and maybe the rest of the damage nerfs were fine. But I think overall, just too many nerfs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's so much the ratio nerfs or anything that hurt him. It's that Gat or Batman Prime would be completely viable if they would fix his ult. Like, his ult has been the real big issue, and if you guys don't know about the bug with his ult, you should go and submit this like all of us have. There is a bug that whenever you throw his ult down, it acts as a stealth pad, if you don't know what Batman Prime's ult does. Pretty much throws a stealth pad down that gives Batman extra stats when he's attacking something, or when he's just standing in it. And when you throw it down, if you try to attack somebody outside of the ult, or follow them, or click out of it, it does kind of like a 1 second mini stun, and it completely throws people off. And that's been the biggest issue with Batman since day one, I feel like.
Are you talking about the thing where if you accidentally happen to click on a minion on the outside, it kind of stops you from
Yeah,
moving?
minion.
Yeah.
If you click a champion,
Yeah.
it'll stop you.
And I believe it's like that with stealth pads right now also. And it's just a movement bug issue. I'm not quite sure what it is, but they
I think
nerfed.
it's only on his ult. I don't think self pads are affected. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they
I'm-
just
I'm pretty sure it's just his ult.
Yeah, the ratio nerfs weren't too terrible. I mean, he still would have been viable had he kept the slow on his cape sweep, but
Yeah, the slow is definitely the biggest loss there. It's just he lost like a lot of utility and a lot of damage all at the same
Yeah.
time.
I think he's okay without the slow, but he's definitely a lot worse. I mean, it just forces you to do that Lobos early if you really want the slow, and it's kind of necessary. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
the way to mitigate that, I mean, give him back the slow, maybe even reduce the slow a bit, just reduce damage on some of his other skills if they really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like that slow is really necessary on him.
Yeah. And then we had the complete over nerfs of Flash, making him completely unviable for competitive play, which a lot of us have no complaints against, because if anybody knows anything about a good Flash player, you will not kill them. Like, my team knows from experience, because GS tends to play a lot of Flash, so if you want to talk about that a little bit, GS, and tell everybody what happened to Flash.
Well, he got nerfed pretty hard. I think he deserved those nerfs, but they should have just kept the knock up on his ult. In all honesty, I don't know why they removed that at all. Because the other nerfs pretty much made him, I guess, on par with everybody else. But then those nerfs to his ult just made him. No. Why would you play Flash when you can play something else?
When you play something that has more burst and no chance of time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
With a better, more reliable ult.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, they nerfed his ratios pretty hard. They, yeah, like, one of his main skills that people would pretty much have up all of the time, if you guys didn't know about this, was his E, his hyper vibration, which allowed you to slow people, and it also gave him armor. And they nerfed that hardcore. If you guys didn't know about that, like, the ratio on rank 4 went from 70 to 20, and the ratio on rank 3 went from 55 to 15. So he got hurt, and I mean, Flash just pretty much isn't viable for competitive play anymore, which, like everybody in here will pretty much agree to. It's not anything that anybody's complaining about. They just have to find a way to rework him to make him viable in the current meta.
I mean, and I think with that, to kind of rework him, they could just buff up his. I think my main problem with Flash was the fact that he could Q indefinitely and always get away. Like, maybe if they just remove the short distance dash cooldown or whatever, and then a slight increase on the cooldown on his Q, I think that would have been a fine balance rather than the damage and all that.
Yeah. And then we had kind of Shazam nerfs, kind of Shazam buffs. Again, Shazam used to be extremely overpowered in lane, if you ever played against this Shazam. And basically what he would do is he would level his Mystic Power, Mystic Defense, which is Shazam's W. And what it does is, whenever you use Mystic Defense, it gives you a shield and gives you power armor. And whenever you would change it and use Mystic Power, it would do this little arc lightning, and it would chain to minions into champions. But the thing that was really overpowered about it at the time when he was in lane phase was you could be a ranged person completely away from minions and still get hit by it. And they pretty much fixed that. I feel like his W is not anywhere near what it used to be. They also gave it a little bit of a ratio nerf and damage nerf. And then they buffed his lightning field, which is his E. It does an AoE, which does damage over time and slows enemies. And I feel like that was definitely beneficial to him, but the cost on it, the energy cost, is still extremely high. But it makes him a viable jungler now.
Yeah.
So
Gives him more clear time, better clear time,
yeah, exactly.
which he was lacking anyway.
And I mean,
But
since they fixed his W, it kind of makes him a balanced character now, right? I don't think.
yeah, I mean,
I feel like his full combo is still pretty strong because his R does not cost energy anymore.
Yeah.
Because he can R, Q, W, it's pretty ridiculous amount of damage.
yeah.
And it's like, as a marksman, someone that plays marksman, sometimes it's like, what's the counterplay to that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
if they both blow their full combo on you from so far away, it's just like, holy shit, like, what can you really do?
Yeah. Just,
You press the no button and eject out of there.
Luckily, they nerfed his lane phase, which was pretty like his W, but
Yeah.
that combo is still really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like his ulti should actually cost a little bit. That way he has to choose between lots of damage and the mobility or the stun
Yeah.
and the damage.
No.
I mean, I feel like there should be a choice.
Yeah, definitely.
The only thing I feel like the issue with Shazam is, me being a jungler, we have to have some way to initiate fights, because in this game, you know, right now, current meta still is a solo top, 2 jungles, 2 bottom. Usually it's a support and a blaster, or a support and an ADC, and then top is either a blaster and or a marksman. And the issue right now is with junglers is, I'm sure Spaghetti would say this too if I was in here, if we don't have a way to initiate fights with as many escapes and stuns that there are now, it kind of puts junglers at a standstill, and it makes fights uninteresting. So when they released Atomic Green Lantern, you know, you guys like to play Atomic Green Lantern a lot.
Right.
Shazam is kind of like the counter to Atomic Green Lantern, because the way Atomic Green Lantern initiates fights is he brings people to you, or he slowly builds up into the fight. You know, he'll ult, slow people, then get somebody and bring them to your team, sort of things. He's Blitzcrank style. And the thing about Shazam is he just brings the fight straight to your face, and a lot of people don't really know how to deal with.
Right, he's more of like a Malphite type person.
Exactly.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But the amount of damage he does with his full combo with a Sai Scimitar right now with no energy cost on his ult is, I think, is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You should definitely
Even
be
ju-
able to initiate fights though, I mean, no doubt.
Yeah. Even just a little bit of cost on his ultimate would be fine. Like, just a very minute amount, just to make it to where he has to regen at least a little bit of energy if he wants to combo it.
Or he does his full
And
combo.
see, the thing that I think should happen to Shazam, me being a jungler, is reduce the energy cost on Q, or reduce the energy cost on E, one of those two, and take 25 energy from one of those spells and move it to his ult. So make his ult cost 25, but like, and you know, make one of his other spells that costs 50, reduce the energy cost on that, because that way you still feel like you're able to combo your skills and do what you need to do, but you're not able to like pull off all 4 spells in a additional occurrence in the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens with that. Biggest thing that happened this week was Harley Quinn came out. Everybody's thoughts on Harley? What do you guys like, dislikes? 9.
I haven't played her. I've had Platypus play her with me, and I like her. She has a pretty cool kit. It's pretty fun. I mean, I think she's an amazing combo with Joker and Lane. Just a lot of escape or whatever, like peel or whatever.
Yeah.
She can also counter a Joker quite well too. In
Yeah.
lane against the Joker, she does pretty well.
Yeah. GS, what do you think?
I think when people find like a really good build on her, she's gonna be like kind of really strong. As in, she's gonna be picked a lot,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But until then, I think she's fun. She has a good kit. Yeah, she
Yeah.
is probably the best playmaker right now. If
Yeah.
you play her correctly.
Yeah, she's a really good playmaker.
Yeah. So we've got MLG coming out next weekend. As
Not
everybody
gonna ask me
knows.
my thoughts
Or
on Harley.
next-
Oh, I see how it is, Mancho.
Oh yeah, we'll go ahead. I mean, I thought you talked. I thought you said everything you were gonna say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I kind of found a build that I like on Harley. Not gonna say it just yet because I'm still testing it, but it's mainly sort of like a mana-based tank. But I use her top lane, and that's really good. Like, her kit is actually pretty decent for a top lane, except for the fact that she has no escape.
Yeah.
And she can actually solo against the Joker very well. She can beat him early, especially if you have at least a little bit of attack damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Other than that, I think her they could maybe buff the cast range on her W for her hammer.
Yeah.
That way to make it to where it's still a little risk to trade with it, but it's not as much so to get right in their face with it.
Yeah.
That's about all I think about her. Other than that, I think her abilities and everything are fine.
Yeah. And then, like I said, we've got the MLG tournament coming up on the 8th of December. Everybody's kind of preparing for that, and preparing for that, what's everybody doing? I know that Dream State, my team, me and GS have been practicing a lot against KGB and trying to get our comms down and everything, and testing out the new character and trying to work around the patches that are coming out and everything. What are you guys doing, Nine?
I personally have I've used a lot of solo queue to like work on my own play. Like I have no doubt like in my team's synergy and communication and whatnot. So I've been mostly doing like solo queue.
Yeah.
And like, of course the scrims with you guys and anyone else that will scrim us.
Yeah. What have you guys been doing, Johnny?
Well, we're trying to get 5 on for a scrim, because you know about that 9, about the last
Yeah.
night. But yeah, just trying to get 5 on a scrim. Other than that, we've been since Myth is like missing for this week and last week, with good reason. But we're just kind of practicing as 4 when Yuki's not on. Then we'll bring Yuki in. Other than that, just solo queue, practice my own mechanics, talk about team comps, theory, craft some builds, just kind of see what goes on, play it by ear.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure, that's what everybody's doing at the moment. How would you guys, rank the team so far? Like, not everybody has played everybody, and there's a couple of new teams. I think there's 5-Star Gaming or whatever they're called out there right now.
Is that 5-star, tar, 5-tar, star?
Yeah,
I'm not even sure.
Confused as well. Like, I haven't scrimmed them. I think Nine's team has actually played against them a couple of times, but I haven't really seen them around or played them yet.
I think their team name is Star, like just Star. That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
see, I thought the 5 was like lead
Okay.
speak for an S. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, that would make sense. That's what I was asking. I don't really know. How do you think they are, Nine? I think you're the only team that's really played against them, so.
To be honest, I don't remember them specifically.
It's Hector Zeroni, Dr. Awesome, Zod, Monster Mash Pixie, and somebody else. I'm not quite sure who. Maybe NC Diver, I think.
Okay, I think, if they practice and stuff, they could get better. Like, they have potential, I guess you could say, if they wanted to get better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're like top 3 or anything like that right now. They're definitely, they're like a newer team and whatnot, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think everybody's in agreement that the top 3
Yeah.
teams are KGB, Dream State, BGN. Maybe
Yeah,
not
those are like the only
necessarily in
teams with
that
real
order.
like rosters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Vex, I'm pretty sure they got a new member, Fatal Uno.
Oh, okay. Do they have a full roster then?
No. It's
Okay.
so far the only people I know that are on Vex are Crashy, Khan, and Fatal Uno. I don't know if ENI is still playing with them. I don't know what's going on there. Newbie said he played with 5-Star last night, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they play a lot of Gotham Heights, and I know that Gotham Heights is not good practice for Coast City.
Yeah.
So
Gotham Heights is good for maybe team fight synergy if you really have team fights happening, but other than that, Coast City is definitely better.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know who's on like main 5-star roster because last I checked they had like 12 people, like just going through tryouts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, I'm sure it's Cube. No, sorry, not Cube. Zod, Dr. Awesome, Pixie. Those are the 3 that I'm sure of. Other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah. I'm trying to actually find a good picture of the updated Coast City map so I can kind of explain it to everybody a little bit better. Here we go, I found one.
Okay. Supreme just said he thinks the roster for 5-star is Akio, Awesome, Pixie, Zod, and Soundbite.
Yeah. That's interesting.
He said it, but it could also be NC Diver.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, I played against all those people except for Akio.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know Akio is good friends with Flo, who's on VGN.
yeah.
So
No
I don't know.
idea. Don't know
I've only-
any of them.
I've only really ever played against Akio in random solo queue games. So
Yeah, I have no clue. And then there's still us, which my team hasn't changed, which is me, AMO, GS, Ease, and Kai.
yeah,
And KGB still consists of the same people with, 9, Mishkid, Platypus,
Mish-
Blue Freeze,
Mish Kitty.
Spaghetti, and Telekinetic. And then there's you guys, which is, I'm pretty sure you, Myth, Supreme, and Ayuki, or whoever.
Chuckles.
Chuckles, yeah.
Yeah.
whoever fills
Yeah,
in.
Yuki's in sub role for. She put herself in a sub since her schedule, being a neurosurgeon and stuff. I mean, she's on call 24/7. So
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, there's a couple of new teams. They're trying to get out there and do what
Yeah.
they can. And
I mean, I'm excited for new teams. It's always great.
yeah, I mean, it's always nice when people come out with stuff, so there's more competition,
Yeah.
We'll just have to see what happens. I'm trying to find a good picture of Coast City to bring up. So we
Like the map itself, or
yeah, so we can kind of explain it to the viewers and how stuff's supposed to go down there.
Would the Infinite Crisis website have one?
Yeah, it does, but I need to make it bigger.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how to make it bigger.
Do you have Photoshop?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh well, it's fine. So, we'll explain to you guys a little bit about the meta for the people that don't know what's going on. Both sides of the map on Coast City. Coast City is the dual lane map, not the domination map. Both sides of the map, if you can look at it, I'll link it in the chat for all the people in here.
I got an idea if you want a larger one. I mean, you can just go through Google Images and just bring one up, and then, it enlarges it a bit for you. Oh, okay.
But it's
Yeah.
still not that big.
Still not enough? Okay.
Yeah, there's the image for everybody in Twitch right now. I'm gonna swap it.
Yeah, I don't know if you tried this one, but there's that one.
Alright. So can everybody in the stream see this picture pretty well? Oh, Supreme might have found one. Oh, Supreme
Yeah,
found
so
a big one. Alright.
They found one with large and small,
This-
medium camps.
This works much better. Oh,
Okay.
I just brought up my ass. Alright, so here's the map for everybody who's watching. It's got all the camps and everything on it, and I'll explain to you guys. Both sides of the map are the same, they're equal. You have power relays, which are located by the large jungle camps. Elites are what junglers like to call them. And if you're located on the blue side of the map, they're on the left side of elites. If you're located on the red side of the map, the relays are to the right side of elites. And then you have a top relay, which is a contest point. And then you have top lane, which there's a turret right here, actually, also, that is not shown on that. But there's actually 3 turrets in top lane and 2 turrets in bottom lane. And then you have 2 power core turrets. And pretty much you run a solo up top, which if you disagree with me, Nine, you can go ahead and say that. You run a solo in top with usually an escape because the lane is shorter than bot lane. So it's easier to farm and then to farm under tower as well. harder to get ganks
Yeah,
off
it's
for junglers.
just a lot safer of a lane,
Yeah.
definitely top.
One thing worth mentioning with the map, it's older. Supreme said it's from the first week Coast City came out, so
Yeah.
the Raider's not on there and all that. So
By the way, hit control and scroll up on your mouse wheel. And it'll make the thing larger.
There we go. Okay, that works. Good call. And yeah, so usually there's turrets located right here for those of you who don't know. And like we said, usually you send your solo top, shorter lane, easier to farm. Bot lane usually consists of a support and a blaster, or a support and ADC. I think the current meta for most teams right now is a blaster and either another blaster or a support that has high harass.
AGL.
Yeah, if you want to talk about that a little bit, GS, and why you run it that way.
GS said he's out.
Oh,
He had out.
okay.
Yeah, he had to go or something.
I don't think any of us play bot lane, so yeah, you run either dual blaster and support just to get harass off, because in this game, harass takes priority over CSing because you can easily pick up creeps, coins. So
Yeah,
it's
Supreme
not
said bring
really-
him in Skype. He's been playing bot since Myth hasn't been here.
Oh, okay. I'll add Supreme Beam. He is a bot laner for VGN. Go ahead, Supreme, if you want to tell us a little bit about bot lane for everybody listening.
Well, like the thing that's really popular right now in bot lane, especially with Harley coming out, is things that can set up with Harley's kit. Like you mentioned, double blaster. I think if you run Harley as your AD, you can do fun things bot with like Ivy. Ivy Harley it might not be the most viable, like something we'd run against KGB, but if you want to have fun in this game and you want to do something that can be extremely viable and keep each other going for like, you can
Infinite
stay in that
sustain.
lane. Yeah, you can stay in that lane for way too long. Like, and the damage is there. Like, I don't know. I think those two are really fun together. I think bot lane depends on top lane a lot of times, like because you know your junglers are going to be one of 5 heroes, right? Most people are going to play one of those 5 heroes, so you got two of those 5 are covered. So then it's like, well, do we want our bot lane to be the AD, the marksman support, or do we want the top laner to be the marksman, and do we want to go blaster and controller bot, or enforcer, whatever the hell you want to call it, but like. Because you could do something like Fat Joker, Green Lantern, or Fat Joker, Normal Joker, to get a ton of crowd control bot, and then have your ADC top, or you could switch it off and have your ADC and Zatanna for an extremely high poke bot lane, and have a safer top laner top to go up against either an ADC or a blaster, depending on what the other team's playing.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think that's what's like. I don't know. I think that's my favorite thing about this game right now, and maybe it's because we're on this map, and maybe it's because the meta really because the hero pool is so small. You can kind of play whatever you want wherever you want. Like there's no forced steadfast rule on who's got to be where.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think once we get into the new map, I think you'll start to see a lot of a different duo combo bot. Like I think it'll. I really don't want to see it become League of Legends though. Like that's the thing I think about this
Where
game a lot.
there's a set rotation of champions, and that's all you play.
Yeah, and you like each lane essentially has 20 heroes or whatever it is on League. Like that's all you could ever play in that lane. And if you don't do that in a competitive game, like you're gonna be shit on by that other. Yeah. So I mean, I think that that's something they have to. I mean, we dictate that a little bit, and then the devs dictate that a little bit too in map design and things like that. But we're already at an advantage in this game where the gold and the vision aren't fucked up like they are in League, where one person just spends all their money to keep vision on the map. So because of that simple change, I think it opens up a whole fucking branch of. We could play Fat Joker bot, or we could play Wonder Woman bot, or we could, you know what I mean, or we could go 2 damage deal bot, and we're not gimping ourselves in the gold run at the end of the game. So I don't know.
That's definitely true. One of the other things is, let's talk about this, because this has been an issue for a while now. It seems the only time that there is a meta change of the current champions, I'm not talking about roles, I'm talking about meta change of current, role of champion rotation, is when there is an over nerf or an over buff of certain people and it makes other people viable again. Like a perfect example of this is before the September patch, if you didn't have a Nightmare Batman jungling, you kind of lost the game. Like I'm sure a lot of us in here remember that, because Nightmare Batman he was insane. You could farm in the jungle for 20 minutes, go back and pick up, the majority of your main set of items just because of the damage that came from his ult and stuff. And now Nightmare Batman's unseen.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. Well, I will say they over nerfed. Like the thing that I think I'm noticing with them is they try. Something will get really strong, and everybody will adopt that as the new character to play. And then they're like, okay, we got to pull it back on that guy. He's too strong. But then they attack him on all 3 skills or 4 skills, and they hit the passive. And you're like, well, if we would have just done maybe take the energy out of Q or take the penetration off passive instead of doing all 9 things at once and being like, well, what are we left with now? Compared to what we had, it feels so bad that people are like, I'm not playing this when we could play the new, we play Atomic Wonder Woman and be a better assassin at the end of the day anyways. Fuck her all, fuck, whatever. We just won't use a Nightmare Batman all for a suppress.
Exactly.
Plus, not only that, they nerf him, but back in the day, you remember, and most people who were around remember, the only thing that could get him off was a cleanse. Or no, cleanse couldn't pull him off. What could pull him off? Was it... I don't even know if Purge pulled him off when that first came off. I know that there was a point where nothing could take... If he got on, he just was on. There was no CC that could pull him off. Yeah. And then they got rid of that, and they made a ton... Oh, Ivy, there it is. Foreshadowed new. I was going to say, there was something. I think maybe Meteor might have done it too. But a lot of shit that, like Wonder Woman Lasso or Fear, or things that you would think would pull him off, didn't pull him off. And he had all those other good things about him, so he was so good. Yeah. But once you take everything away from somebody, why are we gonna... it's like Flash right now. It's like Flash, like you said with Flash. Why would you pull Flash out when you're like, I'm pretty sure Atomic Green Lantern does just close to that same damage, has a good slow, a pull, a shield. You're just better off if you're going to need a power damage jungler, then you wouldn't pick Flash anymore.
And let's do this for everybody listening, because people want to know why in the competitive scene we play certain champions. So, we'll go role by role and we'll explain what certain champions are viable and why. And I'll go ahead and explain jungle first, and then Nine can go and explain marksman. Johnny, you can explain marksman also, I guess, and Supreme, I'm sure, can explain both the blaster and the support role. And so in jungle right now, the current meta champions, I guess you could say, are Atomic Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Atomic Joker. And Batman used to be...
Gas Cat's getting a resurgence with the new camera. With the new
said
camera.
Atomic Joker. Do you mean Atomic Green Lantern?
Oh, I meant Nightmare... Or Gaslight Joker, sorry.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. God, I was getting confused. No, I'm just explaining it from my team's point of view, because we have the same point of view that KGB has. We tend to run the same champions back and forth. The reason being for this is Gaslight Catwoman isn't viable because she has no frontline, she's vulnerable to the other team's front line. Because Gaslight Catwoman can only engage so hard, and after she's engaged that hard and used all of her spells, she's done. If you don't get out of the fight, you're dead. You know what I mean? So, Shazam, Atomic Green Lantern, and Atomic Wonder Woman. The thing about these champions right now is all of them have very, very good damage for being as tanky as they can be. Like, Atomic Green Lantern just is probably the best scaling late game character right now, when he gets 6 items, besides Arcane Green Lantern. And the reason being is he's just so buff late game with as much health as he has, and his ult just does unreal amounts of damage and rads and everything else. He just has multiple ways of starting fights, and that's what you want on a jungler. And then
And he has great gang. Like his ganks are. I mean,
Oh, yeah, his ganks.
that's another big thing about him. Like
Agreed.
he's just.
and then you have
At the end of the day, that's why you look at Flash and you're like, well, I mean, I can Q at people,
Yep.
and I can press W and E together, and now my ult doesn't knock people up, so like they'll just walk out. And
yeah, exactly. And
With that
you
though, I
just-
think you have to save your E for your ultimate. So
yeah, to
Yeah.
get that
That's
little
another
slow,
thing.
but and it makes Atlantean Seal more viable on Flash and blah blah
it's
blah.
back
but
to the
still,
Linear and
like,
Seal build.
Yeah, and then you have Shazam, which we talked about this earlier. Shazam is just all about bringing the fight directly into your face. Like
Oh, he just dictate. Like Shazam can just say, "We fight now." You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Like, and you've got no choice. You really don't get to run from that when Shazam hits ult and then stuns your carry. Like, you got to fight back.
exactly. And then you've got Atomic Wonder Woman, who seems to be the new fan character of the last week and a half after the patch, due to the fact of she
All her
just
competition
has,
is
yeah,
gone. All her competition for OP
Exactly.
is gone. So it's like the fucking spotlight's on her.
exactly. And people are starting to say that she has too much damage, and that's not the issue. The issue is there's not any damage on any of the other characters now, and she can build halfway tanky and stay
still
in
do
the
a lot.
fight
Yeah.
and escape. And she has an escape.
Well, that's
Don't
it.
forget
She
about
she
that.
also she's only cooldown dependent. Like so where other heroes can do damage and be tanky, they still have that factor of like, can I get in on a fight and do I run out of mana or energy in the middle of a fight anyways? With her, it's just like fucking spamming rotations and then double jump. Like double jump is amazing. Like
Mhm.
you can go in and out and it just doesn't even. I don't know. I don't think she's overpowered. I think maybe she doesn't need a bleed on her E myself. I think a lot of times that's all that gets people. Like you think you're away from her because she doesn't have sticking potential, and you're like, "Oh, I'm bleeding out." You know what I mean? So I don't know that it's necessarily a point of nerfing her, but I'm sure if they nerf her, that'll be one of those things that goes, because they seem to be just hack and slash nerfing when they nerf. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think I think what Foreshadowed said is they're trying to make it so that people end up relying on their team synergy and teamwork instead of like, okay, Atomic Wonder Woman got 3 kills, like either we start shitting on her now or she's just gonna run the train. Like it doesn't matter, because that's how solo queue turns out to be with Batman and Flash and Shazam last week. Like that's how solo queue games turned out. If you were a skilled enough player with one of those heroes and you were to get a double kill at the very beginning, then you may as well just type GG, because it was like, potatoes be damned, I have Shazam. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't know. I think that's the hardest part right now with them too, dude, is they have to balance for a wide spectrum, and as the game grows, the spectrum gets wider in skill level too. So it's like, who do you cater to? Like,
exactly. Do you cater
Mhm.
to the competitive community, or do you cater to the casual community?
because at the end of the day, you don't want a new player to jump on and be like, well, if I don't play Atomic Wonder Woman, I guess I lose the game, because look how strong this hero is. She just killed all 5 of my teammates,
Yeah.
like by herself, and then jumped away like a troll. Like, I don't know. She's next,
Yeah.
dude. She's definitely next to get nerfed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, and you can triple jump with her too, almost like a Rengar triple Q. You just have to know the timing really well.
yep.
Yep.
That's
Well, you just walk up to a fight full rev, and you're all right. You can just do whatever you want. I don't know. Her kit is just so good, and she doesn't have any limitation. Like, she doesn't have any resource. So because she has no resource, 40% cooldown reduction is really easy to get on her, and then you're just
And there's
amazed.
just like no competition for her damage other than maybe a full penetration guess like Catwoman, but you don't have the survivability that the Atomic has.
Yep. No escape.
And you don't have, and your initiation is far less superior
Yeah.
because it's like Atomic
Bolts
Wonder
across
Woman
the map.
sees she sees an opportunity and she goes. I think she'll get the Twisted Fate treatment where they slowly start to bring that down, like Nocturne.
Mm-hmm.
When Nocturne
Yeah.
came out, he was full map, and they realized that it didn't really need to be full map. Like it was kind of
Yeah. Oh, and on an earlier note, from like when we were talking about the like the schedule of their nerfs and how they do all that, I kind of feel like it's almost like with Vladimir, what they did with him on League. How it was just like,
slowly scaled down.
yeah, just slowly scaled down, and sometimes way too much at a time.
Yep. No, I agree. 9. Do you want to talk about the marksman role and the difference and why you picked between Gaslight Batman
and why you still
Yeah.
only get 2 choices.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Turbine, please, like, please.
It's not
one
fair,
person,
dude.
at
It's
least.
not
Mecha Wonder
Mecha
Woman
Wonder
now.
Woman, please.
Yeah,
Freaking
Mecha Wonder
fucking
Woman
fantasy.
won.
Or Arrow.
Shoulder missiles, bro. Like,
Surprise Arrow.
bro.
I don't care.
Dude, shoulder missiles are gonna be so good.
yes, dude. But,
It's gonna be great. I'm really stoked to see her.
yeah, me too. Well, I'm actually more stoked for Atomic Joker.
Oh
He looks
yeah,
like-
wow, you can't not. I rocked that as my wallpaper for a month, and then I was like, I gotta move on. He's not coming out yet.
I think it's still Mitt's wallpaper.
Oh
But
yeah,
I think
I'm sure.
I think Dell said he's not coming out anytime soon.
Nah, I didn't think so. I think probably the next one will probably be Mecha Wonder Woman, is if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But
and do you want to explain why you don't think Harley's a viable ADC? Because I don't think people understand that right now.
I haven't even tried her. I've heard like her ratios aren't good enough or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've tried her as it like her damage like she's an if you build her ADC she's of course an auto attacker. It's all her auto attack is going to be
Right.
good, but it's the fact that her skill set is not catered towards an AD carry. If you're an AD carry, you're not going to run straight up to somebody and hit them with a hammer at like right at their face.
Agreed.
Like,
Yeah, you would only like that's the only way it works for ADC right now, and it doesn't really, I don't think, work so much as it's like because
She
it's
needs
that
a low
whole thing
base
of
as
like,
it.
can I carry a game in solo queue or can I play it against a competitive team and win? It's such a different mindset because it's like if we
Yeah,
played Harley
true.
Quinn ADC, she's not going to do that great against a team that knows how to shut her down. But if I go to solo queue, I can build her will and exploit her heal with the dead shots, and the dead shots procs on pies, so it makes the pies hit harder. Like, she has the potential to do cool things, but it's like, at the end of the day, viability is viability, and she's just not going to be, you wouldn't run her as your ADC.
Right, but her
She'd
auto
be-
attack
she'd be
sound
a
is
peel.
pretty badass, dude.
It's fun. I'm not gonna say she's not fun to do. Like that's the hard. It's like when you went Jungle Zatanna. Like we wouldn't run it against you guys, but it's fun as hell. Like I'm not gonna say funny ganks aren't a blast. Like, but
Yeah, I understand.
Dude,
as far as like, the
Zatanna's strong.
two ADKs that are actually, or marksmen that are actually out, I favor Gaslight Batman in the top lane just because you can. The lane is so short. If you have good camera placement, you can overextend a lot actually, and like poke them under turret and do shit that you shouldn't be able to do, and you can still E away whenever you see the jungler coming in for a gank, just because the lane's so short. And if you get caught off guard by a gank, you can E away. It's just so much safer. But I mean, Cyborg does have just so much damage potential. If you, like in a team fight, if you just hit like a perfect ult and follow up with a good mark with your Q and then E, it's just a lot of damage potential, but it's just not as safe, like no escape. And in the days of like Atomic Wonder Woman and Shazam, you want to have that escape. So I think right now, Gaslight Batman is just a lot stronger, just because of his escape. And so,
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Oh,
I
and
think he
in
lets
terms of
you. I think he lets you be more aggressive because
definitely.
I think that's what it boils down to. Top lane is like you can really shut a person down without much fear. Whereas like even a cyborg that gets a little ahead, you're kind of always thinking like, okay, any
Yeah, well-
second now I'm gonna get Shazam alted or
Yeah.
Cyborg's aggression is in lane is toss a Q out. Did I hit it? Okay, let me pop E and auto attack him away. I mean, because you get the procs off of it,
Right.
and it's a good burst of damage.
It is. He's very much all in. and
Yeah.
and that's great if it works. But if you get caught, you are fucked. Just because
Yeah,
you have no escape. So it's a risk and reward, and I'm the
Mhm.
type of person that prefers to play a little bit safer. So I would choose the Gaslight Batman in most cases. Bot lane though, however, if you have someone that can heal for you, Cyborg is actually really, really strong bot lane. If you have someone that can peel and you keep good camera coverage for ganks.
Yeah.
But top lane, I would definitely prefer gas like that.
On the topic of top lane, do you prefer cameras or X-ray? Just
I
kind of put that out there for the
prefer,
viewers.
Cameras, personally. I typically the jungler will run camera or X-ray as well.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of vision. Vision's very important. So but yeah, personally, I prefer the cameras. I don't like X-ray. Not saying it's not good. I don't like it to use it.
Yeah. Only time I'd probably even use X-ray top is if there's a gas cap.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about your stuff, Johnny?
Yeah, since there's only 280 carries, I'm just going to go in terms of kind of maybe tanky top laners.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I really like to play Harley Quinn top lane. Of course, her pies aren't that reliable in lane, but given the distance of top lane, you can actually, and how much you actually heal yourself for, you can. It's pretty safe to run up and try to get a Q on somebody and then just heal yourself and walk away. I mean, if they try to come back at you, you just hammer them away and you're like, okay, I'm out. She has pretty decent damage top lane. Multiple builds kind of lend her to be. Some are viable, some are not. I prefer the kind of like will tank sort of thing, like Supreme, what we were talking about last night. With sort of like Metallo's Heart, Amulet of Isis, those kind of items. They make you pretty tanky. Metallo's Heart is really good late game too, especially in team fights. And Abensurs and all that. Like you'll get upwards of like maybe 200 AP, and your pies are hitting for 400 apiece. Like, and it's not that hard to get into that build pretty quickly. Your Harassler is pretty good. But then probably my favorite tanky top lane, though, would be Gaslight Joker. Gaslight Joker, him in himself, is really hard to kill. If you, when played right. And the ham kind of allows you to control the lane as well. It makes you very safe with ganks between your ham and your shield. As long as you use that right, of course, as well. And the fact that you just gain health through your passive, so you just go through and you're maxing your W and your Q, maybe 1 point in E, you get max stacks and passive, you level the passive, and by like the end, maybe like 8 minutes or so, you can have your level 4, well no, by like 10 minutes or so, you can have level 4 passive fully stacked, good build, pretty tanky.
Yeah, I can vouch for the effectiveness having played against Gaslight Joker top lane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just don't do enough damage to push him out of lane. You don't do enough to. He just has so much sustain. So
yeah, he's really annoying.
Bully. Yeah, and his hams are just godlike. I mean, that's some of the strongest CC in the game, I think. So I mean,
yeah, I mean, even
ridiculous.
like you could even build a early. You could build like a what's it called, Cosmic Staff on him, and just sell it later on if you wanted, and that gives you even more lane pressure because your hams will start doing a lot of damage.
A lot of damage, yeah.
Because the ham Q combo can like half health somebody in top lane really early.
Yeah, he's definitely very strong top lane.
Yeah. Something else I've been experimenting with really quickly. AGL top lane. Of course.
Now, when you say AGL, you mean
Arcane Green Lantern, yeah. I've just been playing with it just because of his range and harassment with his E. And he scales really well into the late game with items and damage. Only problem with playing him top lane, of course, is your ultimate. You hit level 6, I don't think you really want to leave top lane with an ultimate. You'd need to have a jungler to kind of hold your lane. But definitely really good damage potential with his E, using Blaster Page almost a little bit like a Shazam build to start off. And that's about it for top. Usual blasters are good. Green Lantern and Joker. I wouldn't recommend Catwoman top. Dove too easily.
Yeah. Supreme.
What do you guys think they need to do for Catwoman? now that we've mentioned her, like what needs to be done for
Nothing.
Cat? Like,
There's
is,
not.
is
There's
she
not
is she
anything
just
else.
one of those solo queue heroes
No,
where it's like
Cat-
you'll just not see her?
Here is the thing, and this is what GS wanted me to bring up for all the Catwoman players. Catwoman is extremely viable, but she is not viable in a objective-oriented game type, which Coast City
Yeah.
is because it's severely dependent on relays. Catwoman is the kind of character that you would use situational to like Zod from or Zed from League of Legends or something like that, because she's extremely good at dealing quick harass and getting off good ganks. But she doesn't have that viability in the jungle. She has the viability from a AD blaster perspective. So when the tri-lane comes out, I think you guys will be really surprised because
Oh, I think she'll be. I think she.
Oh,
like,
she'll be
if
great
we-
in Tri-Lane.
she's one of GS's favorite characters to play.
I mean, top or
She's-
mid, she'll have her role.
yeah.
She's relatively safe. It's I just I don't know, because the thing is with her, you have to pretty much build crit to succeed to your maximum potential, right? Like
Yeah.
because of the way the damage works. Like if you built her penetration, you'd be hurting yourself compared to what you could do with crit.
Correct.
Just because it's multiplicative with the crit. But I think by doing so, she doesn't have ranged auto attacks, so you're only ever getting it on Q, and you can start to juggle coins, and you know you'll get in a rhythm. But I just don't think, like, because in a team fight she's just like a couple whips and a knockdown, and if people look at her and decide they want to kill her when she's going that crit build, she's really she gets blown the fuck up.
Let me
like
let me say this, and this is no offense to anybody out there or anybody in the call. Catwoman requires an extremely high skill cap to play because of the way her skill set is set up. And if you buffed anything on her, she would be extremely overpowered. Like, I'm telling you right now, you guys will be pretty surprised when you see some stuff from our team with Catwoman, because there's a couple of people on the team that can play her in various different roles, and when you put her in a person who has very good game mechanics, she is a scary character to play against.
As long as you can keep track
So-
of where you are in relation to everybody else, you'll be fine. Whether you
yeah, I mean
It's
it's all
game mechanics,
about
man.
it's all about cartwheels, man. It's like I mean I'm not saying she's bad. I just don't.
She's
You
gonna
know-
be. You guys are gonna say she's overpowered when Tri-Lane comes out, and you'll see why.
Well, speaking of that, though, given like experience with Dota, Han, and League, and all that, with the cramped spaces in the jungle on tri-lane maps, I feel like Doomsday might actually shine in a tri-lane map in the
yeah,
jungle.
for sure.
As a counter,
just
as like
'cause-
a counter gank or a counter juggler. That's what I think. He'll be
Yeah.
like
It'll be like a Nunu, but with a
not even like Nunu, like what the hell's her name, Shyvana, where
yeah.
the dragon bitch, where you move
Either that
fast.
or
Well, no, because he doesn't get to move
either
fast.
that or what about Mundo pre-nerfs?
Yeah, similar to that.
But,
Because I could definitely see him just waiting, like sitting outside of because we don't even know if there's going to be buffs, but say there's buffs on the tri-lane map, I could just see you waiting with Doomsday to make the play with E and then consume, like just really easy shit like that, because
Yeah,
of
and-
the cramped nature of most tri-lane maps.
And also, you don't want to invade a Doomsday
All
as
I
long as
know,
he has charge.
all I know is I am stoked to see what a tri-lane map truly looks like when it's not in the fucking woods or jungle or with a river that runs through the middle, because like every MOBA is the same setting, like
Yeah.
some stone
Um,
architecture with some trees and some bushes.
I mean,
and it's
I think it'd be nice with like a
stoked
highway
to see.
for the kind of river kind of area, like maybe a
Yeah.
highway looking thing.
I have a vision that it's going to be like streets. It's going to be streets, and then
I
there's
mean,
going
like,
to be big buildings
ima-
with alleyways between where the jungle
Imagine
camp,
Midtown Metropolis or something,
Yeah.
but in Gotham.
like a top-down.
All right.
Just
Well,
a big city view. I think it's going to be good,
Let's
though.
do this. I told people if you had any questions, every week we're going to be doing this whole podcast thing with the pro players and getting everybody's point of views out there with different people. And I'm going to be posting a thread in the forums every week on Thursday. so that on Friday when we do the podcast, every Friday at 5 Eastern, you guys can submit your questions to Thursday, and we'll answer them. Paradigm had a question that was, his first question is, the current meta solo queue seems to be evolving in a solo top with either sustain or escape, 2 jungle, 1 ganker, 1 farmer, 2 bottom, an ADC, and a stun. He said, I believe this is what most of the competitive teams are doing as well, if I'm not correct. He said, do you think this meta will stick around, or do you think it's the start of a meta's development? Anybody can...
Well, like I kind of said earlier, I think your top lane depends on your bottom lane in a team comp. But as far as solo queue, I think that's starting to melt over from, the show matches, the things that are being shown to the community where competitive players are playing them. I think that's starting to show them that double jungle is in fact the best way to go. Like, I don't think double jungle on Coast City will ever go away because of the way that the creeps are set up. It's not conducive to one player. Like, it's better for 2 people to be in the jungle. So as far as the characters, I think as we get more characters, you start to see who's better where and the better combinations. Because like we said, KGB might prefer to take their ADC top lane because you can funnel him farm, but that's because Nine prefers to play a gas cat or a gas bat. Because he prefers that hero, it's better top lane than it would be bot lane. Whereas if somebody else wanted Cyborg, you could go Cyborg bot lane and still have success with it. Like, it doesn't mean that there's no steadfast rule of like Marksman has to be here and Blaster has to be there because of the way the lanes are set up. You're really just playing who's safe where and who's capable of farming where. Like, that's what you're trying.
So like,
and then you're building
also where you're comfortable. I mean,
some
people prefer to have someone like a duo partner, and like I prefer to be by myself in the lane. So I mean,
right?
That matters too.
So to sum it up right now, it's all pretty much the whatever team's preference on wherever their roles go. But it's double jungle,
but I see the
double bot.
Yeah, I see the solo queue evolving into that meta, but I don't think that I don't think we should try to dictate heroes because, as I say, like I've said to devs before, and I think right now is we don't have enough heroes. We're funneling them in at such a slow rate that people feel like because you see Joker top in these competitive games or because you see whomever wherever, like they think that that's the only place that they can go, and it's not true. It's just we don't have enough heroes to really flush out the full. I don't know. But I think meta on this should always be solo top, duo, and not even solo top, just solo, duo, double jungle. That's just
exactly.
It doesn't have. I mean, you don't even have to keep lanes. Like, you can switch which lane you were in, but
he had a second really good question. He said for the newer players with the 2 jungler meta, there's almost always an aggressive invade play for the other team's elite camps. This is particularly hard to deal with in the game being new, as most players do not even realize there is a meta. He said, say you run into a jungling duo who's like looking at me, Spaghetti, Mishkit, Blue Freeze. You have no team support in the jungle. How would we suggest dealing with this? From a jungler's perspective, I'll explain it this way. KGB does the same thing, and then I'll let Vengeance explain it. Pretty much, if your elites get invaded, there's no forceful way to stop it, and the easiest way to counter your elites getting invaded, to sum it up, is to have your solo who's in top lane literally push the tower, and have your duo people that are in bot lane push the tower, because the people that are invading, their lanes are then losing farm. Yeah, their junglers are getting ahead, but by the time their double bot returns to lane, your double bot should already be almost 2 levels ahead, a level and a half of experience ahead. And it's the same thing with your solo top, and that is a lot harder to come from behind than for the jungles to catch up by losing their elites. And Nine, if you have anything else to say about that, go ahead.
When I read that question, I kind of read it as him saying, like, if he's solo queuing as a jungle and he's against 2 junglers that are invading him, where he's not like in a team setting, it's like a solo queue thing.
Run away.
Yeah, like don't fight it. Like you're just gonna have to give them your elites, go start your jungle somewhere else,
I'd say
and
go
it's
take their
not
quads.
gonna be easy. Like it's not easy to play against two like coordinated junglers against one. Like you're gonna have to play like defensive. Probably set up like cameras and shit, and just like farm your camps and not die because it 2v1 jungle is not easy. Like I've been in games with like Sketty where he's by himself jungling, and it's hard for him when
Yeah.
he's 2v1
It's
against competent people.
really
So, I
frustrating.
mean,
It
Yeah.
is super frustrating.
Yeah.
But
it's not just that guy that has problems with it. It's everybody.
I'm not
especially-
sure how BGN goes about that. So
it's about
Well,
the
I
same.
mean, if we, I mean, you always try to. I feel like the key always is vision. In that situation, you really need to know who's coming from where, and I think it also depends on who we're playing. Like, and I don't mean to throw names out, but if we were scrimming against 5-star and we see all 5 of them in that bush, we've already sent our bot lane bot, right?
Yeah.
And we've got our 3 people. We got our top laner and duo jungle sitting there with X-ray. They see meteors. They see whatever they see. If we know that we have a strong enough bot lane, like Joker Ivy or something, that could come around and pinch, against those people, it's more advantageous for us to pick up some kills and steal some camps, because you know you can win that fight, because it's just a thing, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you know you have vision, you know you're gonna have the drop on them. All we have to do is hit the right people with the right stuff, and we won you won that early gauge. But against a team that's competent, if they see us try to make that same play, they'll fan out and they'll do like Nine said. They're gonna push. They're gonna get level 2, and then when we show up, like all of us, because they disperse, we don't get level 2 faster than them because there's no fight to be had. So we've got all these people standing around who we might steal an elite, but that doesn't get, even if we stole the XP, it's only 60 XP if the whole team stands there.
and
Like 60 XP is not worth what you're trading in fucking gold and XP to the other solo lanes
So-
or the other lanes. So
pretty much in solo queue, you want to run and just keep vision on where their junglers are at and don't die. And if you're
Yeah.
playing with your team, you don't want to go into that with an aggressive mindset. You want to try to play it smart, and like Supreme said, you want to fan out. Or if you know you can win the team fight because you have more CC than them level 1, you try to fight it out and see what happens.
I think one thing I could say is, in that case, if you're a single jungle in solo queue and it's a 5-man invade on you, just go take their quads that's furthest away from your elite,
Yep.
and then go to your quads. By that time, you're level 2. You'll be down a little bit of gold if there was just 2 junglers on elite. But what's level 2 to just a little bit of gold? Because you'll
Yeah.
be farming just the same.
And then,
I think the hard part right now is in solo queue, you have such a range of skill levels and the people you could run into that sometimes all it says is, hey guys, leash my elite. And people know, and they walk right there with you, and they'll stand in the bush and wait to counter the other team's 5-man invades. And sometimes they don't even read it. So you're like, it's in solo queue, I think jungle is the hardest role to play in solo queue. I think if you're going to jungle in solo queue, you got to be prepared for the inevitable, like those things.
yeah.
And you have to run vision. You have to have you either have to have cameras or X-ray as a solo queue jungler, because you're probably going to run into 2 junglers and you're probably going to get shit on. So
Yeah. And
it's hard not
So-
play.
Killa
It's very
J,
unforgiving.
He asked, how do you feel about the balance changes to Flash, Batman, and Shazam? Did they go too far, not far enough, or are they on the money? And does Harley Quinn fit into competitive play with the pros? Flash,
Harley
Batman, and
Quinn's-
Shazam.
We kind
Harley
of covered
Quinn's gonna
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we covered that.
Covered that. Flash got way over nerfed. Batman needs to get his slow back. Shazam's fine now. Harley Quinn still has.
She's definitely
haven't
going to
had enough
see.
play
She's
time.
definitely going to see herself in competitive
Yeah.
play. I think
like every new champion will.
if you're,
She has great
I-
potential.
yeah, I think just because of what other supports don't do as well as she does, it's just like, well, we won't play Ivy because Ivy's heal is 6 spell dependent and her alt is useless, so she's got a knock up and a shield. So it's like you start to balance out, like if we were running a team comp where we had to have a support, Harley Quinn would be the one we'd go for because she's better than the others in
Yeah.
that regard. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's like we can just decide who's going to be in competitive play early. But as far as like on paper, Harley Quinn is the better support.
Okay, Exilium asked, what are our thoughts on solo duo queue? Well, I'm pretty sure
For when
everybody
rank
who's
comes out,
yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody that's on the team right now is eagerly awaiting solo and duo queue.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
They did say for ranked it's only solo queue.
yeah, I don't think they're doing a
At
dual
first-
queue.
At first they said.
yeah.
Yeah,
we,
it kind of makes
think-
sense.
we don't know anything about solo duo queue. We just know that we all want a ranked queue in general.
Thing is, though,
thing
before
I'll
they
say-
put that, okay,
Go ahead,
through.
Johnny. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
They need at least a champion pool of, I think, at least maybe 40 heroes or 45 heroes to
They
start.
definitely need a lot more because it did
Because,
say they were going to have bans as well. It's still like at some
Yeah,
level amount of
because,
bans.
like-
You have to have more champions, I think.
If I remember, League and Beta started with 40, 45, something around there.
There's
Yeah.
like
I mean-
43 original heroes in League.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a good base for people to play around with. I mean, we have, what 20?
19, dude.
19? Yeah. Like, and the majority of them are assassins or supporty tanks. I mean,
No
There-
ADCs or
there's not
blasters
much
yet.
in the carry role.
Yep. No, I
Yeah, there's
agree.
like 4 good carries. I mean, like legitimately now, especially after they took like Shazam, who shouldn't have been a carry, and
Yeah.
Flash down. Like, if you want a power damage carry, you
Joker,
got
Green Lantern.
Joker, Green Lantern, or like a niche Atomic Green Lantern build. You know, but
Go AP Gaslight Batman. That's a thing.
yeah, it's a thing, but it's like not the best thing. You know what
Come
I
on,
mean? It's-
Come on,
it's
man.
no
Guess like
Joker.
Batman with
Like,
Shades Kane. Let's go.
I'm so sick of hearing about Shades Kane.
Does,
Shades
anybody
Kane has been a
in
thing
Twitch
forever.
chat have any questions that they want answered? Yes, no.
Oh, what I will say about ranked queue though is as most people, like, because we're such a small community, like everybody knows each other. So when people work, like if 10 people queue up, you're going to end up with 5 of them or 4 of them that you know what I mean? Most people have each other's Skype, Mumble, TeamSpeak, raid call, blah 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 info. So I think at the end of the day, because of the size of the community right now, we don't really need a duo queue because it's going to end up being people queued with their friends. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
going to end up with the people you know as
Or
the
against
ranks as your ranks go up. You know what I mean? Like as your ranks go up, you're obviously going to end up in the same pool of people. And so
Yeah.
therefore, like if you're queuing at the same time, you might get against the person you're queued with, but you'll probably end up working together.
Let's do our shout outs and everything, and since
Um,
we've been talking for a while. Go ahead.
I have one
Johnny.
quick question.
Oh, go ahead,
hold
Johnny. What's up?
on. I mean, it's kind of unrelated, but what do you guys feel like if they were to release it today? What hero would you love to have in the game? Even not one that they've announced, like maybe just random DC hero. Because I know for me, it's Mr. Freeze. I'd love a Mr. Freeze blaster with a cryo grenade.
I don't want any other freaking Batman characters.
Dude, I thought that today. And then I
Either
was
that
like, after
or
they
Martian
give
Manhunter.
Me, after
I'd
they
be happy
give
with
me
Martian
a bunch of
Manhunter.
other ones, I do need a Mr. Freeze and a Penguin in this game. But I'm willing to wait like a year to make everybody else happy and get the other shit in first. But I definitely need to get to play as Penguin and Mr. Freeze. Like, and Penguin's gonna have some sweet umbrella attacks and a belly
Or an
slide
umbrella gun.
or an umbrella helicopter that just gets him to safety. I don't know what he's gonna have, but an army of penguins that come out of nowhere for his ultimate. Like, there's so many cool things they could do. But you're right.
Black-
you need
Blackcraft said Deathstroke. Deathstroke would be cool.
other things first. We definitely need.
If I could pick any character from the DC universe, I'm gonna go ahead and safely say Green Arrow, specifically because
Yeah.
the reason I prefer DC over Marvel is Marvel's kind of like a fantasy world, whereas DC has realistic superheroes, not so much as Superman and stuff like that, but I mean like
The gadget
That-
guys.
that-
Grittier.
yeah,
It's
gadget guys.
grittier. It's more like
Exactly.
real life.
exactly.
Like,
it's
it's-
stuff that like if somebody really wanted to do it, like if a Navy SEAL were to go and run around with a bow and arrow and call himself Green Arrow, nobody would tell him that he's not Green Arrow. You know what I mean?
Or even like Deadshot if be possible.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Deadshot would be a nice AD carry.
and you know, I'm pretty excited to see a Green Arrow come out because I will definitely be jungling him. What about you, Nine?
I'm looking forward to that Mecha Wonder Woman. And the Atomic Joker, like I was saying earlier, like those two.
Yeah.
Outside of those, Green Arrow, like a marksman, and something like that. Yeah, those three.
Any kind of marksman, pretty much.
Yeah, any marksman.
Deadshot, man, come on.
All right.
Yeah, that's that too.
Well, let's round this up. Nine, you can go ahead and do your shout outs.
Shout outs. Shout out to Clever Gaming. Shout out to my mommy Mishkit. And to my other shitty teammates. And that's it.
Johnny, go ahead.
Shout out to Vengeance Esports, Danukin USA, Mythological, Blame Chuckles, all that stuff.
Supreme.
I'm gonna mirror Johnny because why not? Shout out to Vengeance. Shout out to Danik. Shout out to Myth. I hope you're not failing class whenever
Yeah.
we find you. I really, shout out to QPad, TeamSpeak, Xfire, the other ones that I'm probably forgetting. And
Silence.
Silence. There you go. I knew there was a fourth one.
And on a side note, we'd really like to get somebody from Turbine into these podcasts every week. I think
By the way,
everybody in here is agreeing to that. But
I think Dell would be awesome.
I've contacted them and they didn't have anybody available this week. So hopefully next week we'll be able to get somebody. Hopefully.
Pull some
And,
strangs, dude.
Yeah.
Could you
you-
possibly do it during work hours? Do you think they could swing it if we did it in an earlier
Yeah,
time?
I mean, definitely. If that's the issue, I mean, I would love. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever works for them. But you guys can follow my Twitch. You can find me on Twitter at dreamstate_rice.
Mantra, you should do a really fancy State of the League style where we all have cameras and
Oh yeah, that's the plan that we're working up to, you guys. We're planning to get this a lot more updated technology-wise and quality-wise. Why we're taking feedback from you guys, so any feedback that you guys want to give us, or anything you think we're doing right, or anything you guys think we're doing wrong, love
Also
to hear
crypto?
from you.
Crypto the Superdog. Yeah, I need it to
Yeah.
happen. Crypto the Superdog would be awesome.
I mean,
Adam West Batman right now.
yeah.
Okay, Adam West Batman is I would throw $100 at my screen tomorrow if they
You better
gave
go
me Adam West Batman. but
Kablam
he-
and Pow.
He needs kablam, he needs pow, and he also needs to hold a meteor like that bomb scene in the 60s Batman where he's running through the pier with a bomb over his head.
Oh my god.
I would pay such money for that.
Somebody
You're gonna
on
make-
the
you're gonna
stream
make me
says
watch that
Solomon
again.
Grundy. All right,
Solomon
guys.
Grundy would
Thanks everybody for showing up. We do this every Friday at 5 Eastern. It might be a little bit earlier next week if we can get somebody from Turbine. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you later.